Cooking with Team Logue. Our marketing manager came up with a great idea for each of us to pick something that we love to do. And my mom was an amazing baker, and she's kind of passed a little bit of that on to me. And I'm going to make a lemon whipped dessert for you today. It's very, very easy, and I've pulled out my trusty cookbook that my stepmother started for me when I got married many, many moons ago. And she gave me an amazing recipe called lemon whipped dessert. So 3 parts to this. It's super, super easy. And the first part is to prepare the lemon so that you can let it cool. When you get over to the stove, the first thing you're gonna do is preheat your oven to 350. And then we're gonna start our lemon so we can let it cool before we put it all together. So we have 2 egg yolks in here, we slightly beat. We add 1/3 cup of cold water. We get this all going, we mix it up a little bit, then we add our package of lemon pie filling. Mix that in till it's smooth. I use a little whisk all the time. It lets so there's no lumps. The stove is not on yet. We're still mixing it up. We add, once this is all stirred up, we add 2 cups of hot water. Stir it in. Once it's all stirred together, we can put the heat on medium-high. I cook with gas, so it doesn't take as long, but with just an electric stove, it's going to take a little bit longer to come to a boil. So let's get her on. Medium-high. And you have to constantly stir. So this won't take too long, just a few minutes. And so we'll just wait for it to come to a boil. Once it boils, we let it boil for 30 more seconds and then turn the heat off and add our butter. Let it set it aside to cool. And then we go on to step 2. Part 2. It is our base for our 9x13 pan. And this is slightly larger, so it's going to be a little bit thinner, but I would use a 9x13 pan. So first of all, 3/4 cup margarine or butter. I use butter, salted. And just a little tip that there is a tool on the butter that you can use. My mom used it and I use it and it's never failed me. So just a little tip to use. So 3/4 cup butter, 1.5 cup flour, and another little tip when you're doing your flour, which I learned a long time ago in 4-H, is pile your flour on, take a knife, and make sure that you tap it down, sides, and put it in. So there's our 1 cup and 1/2 cup. You only do this for flour, not sugar. 1.5 and 2 tablespoons of white sugar. I always use my knife. And this base is a shortbread, and I like my shortbread just a little sweeter, so I'm gonna add a little bit more sugar. Take a pastry blender, another little tool that my mom passed on to me, and you start to blend all this together. And it does take a little bit of work. If anybody's made your shortbread before, you'll know. And then we'll just slowly get this together. And I'll show you what the consistency needs to look like in a few minutes once I get it there. I've mixed it up, and this is the consistency you want. So you want to be able to grab it, and it squeezes together and forms. I'm going to throw it all into my pan. And I'm going to spread it around. This is the fun part. The kids might like this. So another thing when you're baking, obviously you want to make sure that your surfaces are all clean and ready for you to have a... Okay. So I'm just about there. Just want to make sure I get right to the corners. It moves around really easy because of the butter in it. And you just squeeze it together, and so you don't have any holes. And you'll feel where it's a little higher, and you can push it around. And then when this is done, we're just gonna pop it into the oven for about 8 to 12 minutes, depending on how hot your oven is. And I will show you what it looks like when mine comes out. Step 3 of this lemon whip dessert. And we take 1 cream cheese and 1 cup of icing sugar, 1 tub of Cool Whip. And we mix it all together. It actually only calls for 3/4, but I always put the whole one in. So we'll whip that up. And then once this is all whipped together and your crust is cooled, we can start to put everything together, but the lemon has to be cooled and your crust has to be cooled. So this just has to be whipped together until it's all no lumps, bumps. Your cream cheese is all mixed in nice. It doesn't have to be cooled or anything. You can make this ahead of time and put it in the fridge until you want to put it together the next day. Basically, that's it. Now we can start to put things together. So here we are at the final stage of putting everything together, and I wanted to show you what my shortbread looks like. So it's pretty, still kind of creamy looking, but just around the edges you'll see a light brown, and that's when you know it's ready to come out of the oven. So when you get to like 9 or 10 minutes and it's not looking like that way, just pop it in for another minute, extend your timer for another minute or 2, and then you can take it out. So this is cooled, our lemon is cooled. I did whisk it just to loosen it up again because it does harden up a bit while it's cooling. And so we're ready to go. Let's get this together. So we have our mixture of the cream cheese, icing sugar, and Cool Whip. So that goes on first and spread out. I'll move this over so it's not so noisy. Just cover all your shortbread up. And then we put our lemon on, shake off from the whisk. We'll put that on. And then the final is our last tub of Cool Whip. And we just spread that on top. So just right to the edge. And then take a fresh lemon, wash it, and then just put some zest on top. And ta-da, lemon whip dessert. Enjoy.